Hey guys, welcome to the Bourboneering podcast. I'm your host, Austin. Let's get started. So today, I'm talking about local distilleries. Last week, I talked about what we as a whiskey community can do to help out in this catastrophe going on right now, that is this pandemic. That's very true. We want everybody to stay safe and help in whatever way possible. Go listen to that episode if you haven't already. There's some great ways to help your local community. But today I wanted to dive a little deeper into a certain aspect of that, and that's local distilleries. Small local craft distilleries are going to be hit hard right now, just like bars and other small business. Any small business, especially newer small businesses, are going to be hit really hard right now. So what I'm about to say goes for all small business, but I'm going to do it in the eyes of craft distilleries because that's what this podcast is about. If they're open, you need to show them some love. Don't, obviously, be safe, keep your distance, don't go in there, follow whatever rules they have in place or the CDC has in place, but support them any way you can. Some are doing online orders that you can go pick up in your car. Some are giving out hand sanitizer, selling hand sanitizer that they're making. Sugarfield, I know for sure, is doing that. Sugarfield Spirits, which I had an interview earlier, and you'll hear that interview again today. And just support them any way you can, even if that's waiting till they reopen and buying a bottle, pledging to buy a bottle, or, just help out. Contact them if they're closed, see what you can do to help. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily, although that would be very helpful. That's crucial right now. Just do what you can do to support these and to shed more light on local craft distilleries. I'm actually going to replay a couple interviews I had with local distilleries. The first is going to be from the distillery highlight. I'll be talking with Andrew Soto from Sugarfield Spirits Distillery. That's a replay of an episode I posted not too long ago. And then the second one I'm replaying is an interview with Jeep Medier of Distillery Acadienne, another small distillery around here. They make the first Louisiana-made bourbon, Louisiana straight bourbon whiskey. Fantastic interview, fantastic guy, fantastic company. That episode was posted back when I was bourbon in college, early on, but I'm replaying that interview here for you to hear. The whole point of me doing this is to, again, shed light on these distilleries. If you're in the local area and can go support one of these two distilleries, do it. I highly encourage it. If you're not from the Baton Rouge area, go find another local distillery or find one that ships or something like that and go support them in any way possible. Anyway, so I'll stop talking now. Remember, stay safe, help each other any way you can, help your community, help small businesses in general, especially small distilleries, and enjoy these interviews. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Hey guys, I'm here with Andrew Soto, and we're going to talk about Sugarfield Spirits. So, Andrew, you want to talk a little bit about yourself and maybe how the distillery got started?
Sure. So, I am a lifelong hospitality person. I grew up in hospitality. First job was in hospitality. I worked in restaurants and hotels my entire career. I've always been into spirits. I bartended most of my life. I really have a passion for good spirits, and making sure that the cocktails are coming out delicious and unique. Making a good cocktail is a lot about having the ingredients mixed properly and. All right, so making good cocktails is important. That's what we do on this side. But making the good spirits, that is kind of a different track, and that's kind of where my brother was. He kind of got on this journey when he was out in West Coast on a wine tour, and he was kind of thinking about going into the wine business, and was out there and was kind of mulling it over, and went through Portland, Oregon. And when he came through Portland, they were on a big kick on distilleries, micro distilleries, and he went to a couple of them, and he was like, man, this is basic chemistry, and making good spirits is half science and half art, and it's important that you have both of those aspects, because you want a spirit that's delicious, but it's also safe, and you're able to do what you do over and over again, so that you're always making good product, and that's a lot of it. And then just the business aspect. I have 2 degrees in hospitality, and I've kind of moved around my whole life, and just kind of settled here in Louisiana.
All right, so I guess how did Sugarfield get started as a distillery, as a business, and where do you see it going in the future?
Gotcha. So we got started with my brother and I. We want to make bourbon. We're big into bourbon, but in order to make bourbon, you really have to have something that's going to get you over that 4-year mark, because 4 years is about the time it's going to take to make a good bourbon. And so what we decided was, until our bourbon's ready, we're going to make some other spirits as well. And I mean, we're going to continue making these spirits, because every spirit, you really have to put a lot of passion into it to make it, if it's going to be good. And so making good spirits is about, putting your love into it, putting your passion into it. And so whether you're making rum or vodka or or liqueurs, all of our stuff is, we have a basic edict. To make a good product, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to practice it, and make sure that you're always tasting and learning and growing. And that's kind of what we do here. We always are going to put out a good product. We're always going to be looking for the new thing, the next thing, and whether it's liqueurs or gin or vodka, whatever it is, we're trying to be unique and as local as possible. And as to where we're going, well, right now we're literally right now we're making a lot of vodka. Next we're going to have some bourbon that we're going to get into barrels next month, and right after that we're going to be doing a single malt. So that's basically what a Scotch is. But we're not in Scotland, so we can't call it Scotch. But American single malt is. We'll have that in some barrels too, so that'll be ready in a couple of years. We've got our coffee liqueur. We're going to be making some more of that, so we can have that out. Yeah.
That stuff is amazing.
Yeah, it's killer. And we've got an orange liqueur that's coming out. We also have this awesome. We took some of our cane juice rum, our agricole style rum, and we ran it through the gin basket with some Myers lemon zest in it, and it picked up this beautiful essence of that. So it's kind of a lemon agricole that we'll have out here pretty shortly. And we have a lot of stuff sitting in barrels, just picking up good flavors. So we're excited about that too.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's really exciting. I'm glad we caught you on the ground floor. Kind of get, watch it grow. And, I talk about the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society here all the time, and I know y'all are doing a lot with us and that. Yeah. And that's really exciting. I talked about, we had a tour here, and like a tour and tasting, and that was a great way to experience a distillery from the inside out. Yeah. But I guess my last major question is, for you personally, I know you're more on the cocktail side of things. Do you see... You talked about kind of your wide range of things. Do you see y'all ever getting more into the creative cocktail side of things, or once you get into the bourbon, the actual whiskey, that you'll be focusing more on just getting that bottles and getting that where it needs to go?
Both. So I haven't really. Our first menu that we put out is a very traditional menu. On it, it's got rum and coke, a daiquiri, an old fashioned. Just basically the basics. Our next menu that we're coming out with, it's a little funkier. It's a little weirder. You can always get the classics at any bar, but you go to cocktail bars to get a unique cocktail, and we'll be doing a lot of that. And when we launch our gin, we'll have our traditional gin, our flagship gin, and then we'll also have a rotating gin that we have in the tasting room. It's only available there, and it'll be whatever's in bloom then, or so during orange season it'll be an orange vodka. During strawberry season it'll be not vodka, gin. It'll be a strawberry gin. Orange season, orange gin, that kind of thing. So I think that's pretty exciting, and we'll always have something fresh and beautiful here at the distillery. So
awesome. All right, and I lied. This is going to be the last question.
All right.
Of the spirits you'll make currently or have on shelf currently, what's your favorite? I know it's a hard question, but...
So that, I mean, not really. That's kind of bourbon is what I'm all about, is what I love. And if my tastes change with the seasons, and but at the end of the day, literally at the end of the day, what do I drink at night? I drink our bourbon. I have a bourbon neat or bourbon on the rocks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I love y'all's. I have the batch 1 at home.
Yeah, batch 1's delicious. Yeah.
And I've been here a couple times, tried batch 1, 2, and now the 3 that I don't know if it's out yet or not.
Yeah, it's on the shelf right there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
But then they were all good, all very different, but all very good.
Yeah.
And I know I've talked about this before. Y'all are very transparent about, obviously you're not making your own bourbon, or you have the bourbon on the shelf is not y'all's. You're sourcing
we
right
source
now.
It right. Yeah.
And very transparent about that. And y'all selected some good barrels. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Well, anyway, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
I know the audience loves it, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from y'all soon.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Austin here with Bourboneering to talk about Prestige decanters. Prestige is where I get my whiskey tasting glasses for all my podcasts. I do all my reviews with these glasses. They're a beautiful tulip shape. They also have a lot of fun rocks glasses and things like that, as well as beautiful decanters like their name suggests. Use the link in the description below and use promo code Bourboneer, and you can get 8% off your order at Prestige. It helps the show out, it helps you out, and helps them out. So check them out when you get a chance, and thanks for listening. Here's my interview with Mr. Jeep.
My name is Jeep Medier. The company is comprised of my dad, Steve Medier, my brother, Philip Medier, and myself. We also get help from our sisters, Stephanie Medier and Holly Thubrin. So essentially we are a family-owned distillery out of New Iberia, Louisiana. I live here in Baton Rouge, but my dad and my brother and my sister Stephanie live in Youngsville, Louisiana, and then my other sister Holly lives up in West Virginia. So we're a local distillery. We all have real jobs. So we kind of do this on Sundays for the most part, but we certainly look to expand as we grow. We're starting small, and that's a purposeful thing right now. Really kind of concentrating on the Acadiana area. We do have some product here in Baton Rouge and then also in New Orleans, but really just getting our feet wet because again we're new to this gig.
Yes, yeah. So along the line, have you ran into any challenges breaking into the market at all?
If I had to put it into kind of context, not really. We've gotten a lot of good advice from people that are currently in the market. And what I mean by that is we talk to distributors, we talk to retailers, and we talk to other people that are currently distilling, not necessarily a bourbon or a distilled spirit like T Moon, but just kind of in the industry, getting ideas and whatnot. And this has been a long process. We've been really kind of batting this around since about 2013, 2014. We started making distilling about 2017. So about a year later, we were able to have product T Moon. Late 2018, we actually didn't get product out to the shelves until February of this year, 2019. And then, of course, our bourbon just reached 2 years. Yes. And so that just released a couple days ago. But as far as challenges, it's probably been just learning all the processes, right? So understanding the requirements from the federal side, the state side, the different permits and licenses, because obviously we wanted to be legit when we were doing this, right? So understanding that part, knowing how and when to file the monthly reports, the excise taxes reports, things of that nature. But as far as breaking in, now, again, we haven't faced any real challenges. but our footprint's also pretty small too, right? So we, our distributors is primarily here in South Louisiana, and so that's kind of where we are now, right? We hadn't tried to reach out to North Louisiana or neighboring states or anything like that.
I got you. Okay. And is that on the map anytime soon? The expanding toward other states?
Yeah, I think so. I think once we kind of get a good momentum going here locally, and then again, because we are focused on Acadiana because that's where we're based. But once we get kind of a good momentum, we do look to expand out farther. Of course, we have friends and family that are asking, "Hey, when's it coming over here?" Like we have some friends and family in Houston that want to know. Of course, some people farther away.
Right.
But baby steps is what we keep saying, right?
Yeah.
So we do use 4 different grains. Obviously, primarily corn, given the standards of bourbon. But we also have a wheat, a rye, and a barley in there. So one of the things that my brother Philip did when we started this is did pretty extensive research on all right, what are the different bourbons out there, and what are the different grains that could really add to the texture and flavor of the product. And so he spent a tremendous amount of time really researching and kind of coming up with his own, and we always call him he's our master distiller, right? Gotcha. So but coming up with his own kind of level of grains that he's going to go ahead and put in there. So it is 4 grains, and we find that it offers several different tasting notes when we use those. And it's not just slanted to one side. Right. Of course, the T-Moons are a little different because we add Louisiana cane sugar to our mash before we distill, so you get a lot of that sweetness coming through, and that's probably why you were saying earlier you like rum, and it's similar to a rum in that way, in the sweetness. But yeah, the on Cajun's Cut, the 4 different grains to us add a whole different level of texture and flavor in there.
Okay, cool. And what about your aging process? I know the weather down here in Louisiana is way different from Kentucky.
Sure.
Do y'all have anything to say about like barrel size, or do y'all do anything different age-wise?
Yeah, so one of the things we purposefully did was we use a much smaller barrel. Gotcha. So we use a 10-gallon barrel, Char 3. A couple reasons why we do that. One is the aging time is a whole lot less.
Right.
But 2, it's just it's a lot more manageable for us as well, right? We have a pretty small facility in New Iberia where we distill, and so 10-gallon barrels is a whole lot easier to kind of maneuver and manage and whatnot. As far as the heat, we actually enjoy the heat because we feel that fluctuation really helps to pull in and out of the wood for our bourbon. So. And the downside of it, of course, is we have a limited supply. And, of course, we just released Cajun's Cut Tuesday, and we're all done, right? We're all sold out. It's as soon as it hit the shelves, it was gone pretty quickly. So we'll have to wait for the next installment, which comes next month, or actually this month. So late July this month, we'll have another release of Barrel 2 to come out.
Very cool. I mean, all still setup look like? Is it just one still?
Yeah, it's a single pot still, and so one of the things we're trying to do now is kind of make our equipment a little more efficient. So we are looking into buying some new equipment. Okay. The equipment we have now, though, is certainly it works. It makes good product, but it's all really handmade, and so that's another kind of unique part about our distillery. Again, my brother Philip, one of his many skills is he can weld, and so we have a 250-gallon essentially pot still that he welded all the way up from the still itself to the cone to the copper kind of overlay coming into our condenser. So it's it's a homemade deal, because of that, we have some inefficiencies in the process, and so we recognize that, and now that we are actually have product out on the shelf, and we know we need to increase production. That's what's essentially kind of forced us into looking at new equipment options, which we plan to do in the near future.
Yeah, you're good.
So the label on T-Moon, if you'll notice that there's a picture in the background, and the picture is actually a picture of my dad in a P-row in the Atchafalaya Basin. He's got whiskey barrels on the front, and so it's just kind of a neat thing. We went out and we had the ideas for the label, but obviously we're not true artists. So we got hooked up with a guy named Trent Oob out of St. Martinville. He's a fantastic artist. Really kind of focuses in on the Cajun culture and whatnot. So he designed this for us. Here, I'll pull this one out too. So, there's the picture. What we also wanted to do was, again, kind of pay homage to our home state. So the picture is in the shape of Louisiana. Oh, it's very subtle.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
But again, just kind of a tribute to our home state and whatnot.
That's very cool.
And then Cajun's Cut, the label here is obviously a little more pronounced with the state. Same basic kind of design as T-Moon. Now our logo, so it's the fleur-de-lis, but one of the deals with the fleur-de-lis is it's feathers instead of lily flowers.
Right.
And feathers is an interesting story in the Metier family. So many years ago, my great-grandfather was in Jackson Square in New Orleans, and this voice came out of nowhere and said, "Metier, mon cas, tes chapeau la plume," which translate to Metier, monkey, put a feather in your cap. And it's just kind of been a story we've told, and nobody really knew where it came from. He certainly didn't know what the voice was or who it came from. But when we were designing our logo, I said, look, it's really kind of the three of us, my dad and my brother and myself. So let's make a fleur-de-lis out of feathers, and kind of go with that. So that's some of the genesis around the labeling and whatnot. But yeah, we're happy about it. We're excited that Trent was able to take some of our ideas and really kind of put it into labeling. And of course, the interesting thing about us is we do everything in-house, right? So we mash in-house, we distill in-house, we even put the labels on the bottles by hand, all ourselves. So we're truly a family-owned business, and there's a lot of love that goes into each bottle. I can promise you that.
And yeah, it's a beautiful.
To our knowledge, we are the first Louisiana bourbon that's out there. We know there's a couple different distilleries in the state currently aging.
Right.
You mentioned Baton Rouge. 7-3 Distilling is aging a bourbon, but and that was pretty important to us as well as just anytime you're a first.
Right.
It's a good thing. Now, we also wanted to have a solid product, right? We didn't want to rush anything, so and that was one of the interesting things about all this, right? Is when we started actually mashing and distilling and aging, we didn't know what any of this was going to taste like. Well, we had an idea based on some test runs that Philip had done, but we really didn't know. So it's been really surprising, but then also kind of the satisfaction that comes out when you age something, especially the bourbon. It's been sitting in there for over 2 years, and when we took it out and tasted it, said, "Wow, this is pretty good stuff," right? So really cool. That's what's been really cool.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe on whichever player you're using. Leave a comment and leave a 5-star review if you can. Once you've done that, go follow me on Instagram at Bourboneering or on Twitter at InBourbon, or go like our Facebook page, Bourboneering. All this, as well as my Prestige Decanter affiliate link and a link to sign up for a weekly newsletter, are all below. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cheers.